All right, so just kick this off. Welcome to the monthly check-in. We do these the fourth Tuesday of the month. There's a couple of new folks on the call. We try to do these with all funded investigators coming through the North Central Climate Science Center, but open the call to any of the stakeholders or others interested in it. We have been over the last year or so trying to do a bit of a science talk, and I think with the 5 new projects starting, we've kind of thought we need to forego that and just really spend, hopefully within an hour, getting kind of an update from where people are on the various projects. Maybe allowing each of those projects to talk about any exciting science they're doing certainly would be a legitimate thing to report on, any papers coming out or hires being done and kind of progress being made. So we'll go through basically, if you can see on the screen, the 3 foundational science areas. We have now 8 management-focused projects, 5 of the new ones coming online, and then the capacity building work. I removed the training. We usually have a 3rd category under capacity building where we have the America View and Phenology, and we've got the Indigenous Geography Phenology Network and training. But with respect to this overview, maybe I could summarize those if we have time, but we created this chart here, and it's kind of 4 columns, but after May it'll probably go down to 1, although if we have papers...
Can you make that bigger on your screen? There's not a chance of seeing that.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's much smaller in the WebEx viewer.
Yeah.
Andrea, you can expand your screen on your end, too.
As it'll go. It's
as
big as it'll go on my screen.
Oh, okay.
Is that better?
Fine.
Yeah.
And for anybody who hasn't been able to join the WebEx, check your email. We just sent another announcement with the updated link, so look for that if you need to.
Okay, I installed Chrome, and I was able to get to it through Chrome now. This is Cody.
Great. Glad to hear, and so maybe mental note or note that for future things. Let's just go through the list as it shows up on the screen, and then when we get to the new projects, I'll say hello to people, and I really appreciate some of the new projects joining. They have a handful have not gotten any of their funds yet. We're actively working on getting that, but appreciate them kind of joining as we prepare for the Open Science Conference. Good to have them on board. But I'll just start at the top of the list. I know Shannon, I heard her, and I see her on the line there. Maybe we'll start off with adaptation. I don't think Dennis is around, so I'll just hand it over to you, Shannon.
Okay, thanks. So not a whole lot of updates since the last check-in. I'll just give a couple brief ones. One, the Bureau of Land Management, Colorado State Social Vulnerability Assessment is moving forward. We're working on a review paper right now. Corey Knapp at Western State University and I are co-leading that to look at social vulnerability analyses that have been done in Colorado. And we'll be starting to do the fieldwork this summer and still be contacting other folks who are interested in contributing to that project as we move forward a little bit. Let's see, the Intertribal Buffalo Council Drought Adaptation Project we're moving forward with, planning a workshop with folks in Rapid City at the end of April with the National Drought Mitigation Center and the USDA Hub. Working with managers, implementing planning and projects. And then lastly, the DRY project, the Drought Risk and Adaptation in the Interior. We're still working on the analysis of that, now integrating the interviews from the Wind River Reservation. And Cody's going to talk about that later, so I won't talk any more about that project right now. And that's probably it for the update.
Thanks, Shannon. And I should have maybe started before with the spreadsheet and describe it. So sorry for diving into the reports because everybody's looking at a screen that shows 4 columns. So I meant to complete that. I'll be working with Neil Sprockfire here at and the accounting people at USGS to sort of make sure the funds are rolling through. basically green, yellow, and red. I'm not sure why Stacy put blue. I don't know what she means, but maybe she modified the legend in the bottom. But it's kind of like things are going fine. Yellow is like something needs to be done. Red is like, okay, something needs to be done pretty soon. I thought this would be a way for us to kind of work through kind of the project. We've got the Open Science Conference. Jill Lackett here at CSU is managing all that, and we've got abstracts and posters for the various projects. Finances, I'm working with the CSU people here. Leanne Wilson is the data steward for the North Central, so she's on the call and can report on data management plans, and then general reporting, kind of annual reports and final reports as those are kind of coming online. So just to summarize, thanks for the update, Shannon. I think there's just a yellow category in data management plan that maybe, I guess, Leanne, do you want to say a sentence about that, and then maybe anything more than that could be taken off?
Well, I think you and Emily were talking about that offline, and she might have reached out to you after the holidays in regards to that. But I thought, according to Stacy, she was good with the DMP, but I just needed a follow-up to see where we are on that.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as I know, we're for now at least finished with that, because we are still working through some of the intricacies, the nuances of the data management plans vis-a-vis social science input, especially interviews and intellectual property rights with tribal communities, and that's something that we're in the process of working through with the Wind River Reservation folks, trying to actually co-develop with them a broader research protocol for the project, of which we have the data management plan as one component of that, and all of that has to be signed off by the tribes and submit that. So that's part of the adaptation foundational science area, but it's slightly its own issue in and of itself as far as Wind River is concerned.
Okay.
So, but yeah, certainly we can follow up. And Jeff, one more thing I wanted to mention, I just forgot, is just to remind folks that we do have the webinar this Friday, the 27th at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. That did go out to the adaptation group and the Wind River Project group, but if anyone else is interested, they can email me. And is Gabrielle there by chance?
He's not. He is in the same training that's He is not. He's in the same training that Stacy is in over at the SOM training.
Okay. So just really quickly, it's remote sensing based actual evapotranspiration mapping for chartering and water budget analysis. So again, if anybody's interested in that, just email me and I can forward you the announcement. That's it. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. Moving on to climate. Sound like
this is Imtiaz Rangwala here, and Joe Barsugli is with me too, so we'll kind of brief you quickly about the climate stuff. We talked about the climate postdoc we are getting, and last month has been more paperwork regarding getting the postdoc, Candida Davis, to NOAA, getting her in office here. And so, the paperwork is near completion, and an offer letter is being prepared at this moment. So, that's a positive development. We have also sent an email to a selected group of people regarding the regional climate modeling workshop that we've been planning for the fall, suggesting a couple of dates and topical issues to be covered, and kind of a sense of who should be invited. It should be a small kind of meeting with 29, capping it at 29 to be in the right category for the government meetings. But we are hoping that it'll be a group of experts who do RCM development, but also experts who use the RCM for application, RCM output for application, and maybe a selected group of people who really understand the risks of these information. So we still are in the process of developing the list of invitees at this moment, and also kind of finalizing the exact date between the two dates we suggested, that was 17th and 18th of September and the 24th and 25th of September. If anybody is interested in knowing more about it, you can either email me or Joe, but we'll keep you updated about it. We also talked about this mega-dot paper by Ben Cook, and we suggested last time that we'll put together a briefing paper. So we have been in touch with folks who do paleo work, and we have been having discussion with folks, and Joe is kind of expert on the modeling stuff. And so this paper really brought in the paleo data and the global climate model data, and basically has suggested huge implications for droughts in Central Plains, for example, and the climate change. We are still, there's a lot in this paper in terms of how applicable the paleo stuff is and how applicable the GCM information is, the way they standardize these two data set and give us this kind of a signal for future. So yeah, that's very much in our discussion these days, and we hope to maybe have a briefing paper by next month.
Certainly by next month, yes.
Okay.
Joe, you want to add something else?
A couple of things. Work proceeds at pace. I've been working with Mike Hobbins to understand the nuances of calculating reference ET from climate model, which is a little bit more complicated than I expected, to make it comparable to the stuff that's done from observations. But I have a set of CMIP-5 climate model reference evapotranspiration calculated, almost ready to go. Although if someone's really interested in it, I can, make that available. So that's the other thing that I've been working on. The final thing was that the briefing paper on just how ecological factors are considered in the large climate model run, CMIP-5 and CMIP-3, just a very basic level, is nearly done. I got comments back from Brian Miller, thank you, and I'm including a little bit more depth of information because of that. I will send that out. I'm not sure how to send that out, but I will certainly send it out to the NCUC mailing list. And as we say, as we're going to be developing a place to put things on the web page, I'll be putting it on a web page for North Central. I will be putting it there as well. Thank you.
Yeah, we could use MailChimp if you want to just communicate with us, Joe, on what that would look like. And the next newsletter is going to be focused on climate, so maybe we could stay in touch as far as what that the contents of that newsletter, maybe some of the stuff you're talking about.
Hey, could you remind me the deadline for that? That's we want that done in May or June?
I believe it's May. Joe, I'll get in touch with you soon, probably in the next 2 weeks, with some more concrete details about deadlines and content that we'll be looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. And then impacts, I think Arjun is on. I don't see Andy on the list, but hand it over to you.
Okay, are you hearing me? This is Arjun.
Yep.
Okay, so far we have here. I made a huge progress on this project. Like we were able to redefine the wildland ecosystem boundary around the protected areas. For example, national park, that includes national park, timberlands, and the national forests for 9 different areas, including Yellowstone National Park, Theodore National Park, Rocky Mountain, Lake Traverse, Great Sand Dunes, Bighorn, Badland, Hot Lakes, and Grand River. So far, I was able to analyze the cover change on those 9 areas comparing from 2001 to 2011. So, you know, the most vulnerable or the threatened part or the land use cover is the forest cover that has lost around 4% from 2001 to 2011 in this NCCSC domain. And now I'm analyzing the climate change effect on those cover class, for example. So what would be the condition of those cover class in 2030 and 2050, including 3 climate change scenarios. Those are A1, B, A2, and B1 scenarios. So hopefully by the end of this weekend, I'll be done with those analysis, and by the end of this month, I'll be able to update the quarterly report on this project on Confluence. Thank you.
So Arjun, I had a question. I know we had talked about you doing that analysis over the areas relevant to the management focus projects.
Yes.
I didn't understand which, you listed a couple of site locations, but those, I didn't see the one-to-one, the mapping between your analysis and then the management focus projects.
Yes, that I was looking for those areas, and even, probably if I get the areas there and the step files of those areas, I can do even for the new areas.
So we got you the shape files, I thought, last week. Is there a hold up on getting those shape files too? Because I thought we got those.
That probably you mean last week?
Last month, sorry.
Oh, last month. Okay, I'll go and check it again. Probably I probably missed or unintentionally missed that email or didn't check that email. Hopefully I'll see that those shape files, and I'll go with these other 2 or 3, whatever you told. I'll write to you, and we'll confirm in the email. And that it won't take me to analyze. It won't take me longer to analyze those new areas.
Okay, just for the other management focused projects, we were trying to get this analysis that was coming out of the impacts team as far as some land cover and land cover change to do that analysis on areas that would be relevant to the management focused project.
Yeah, definitely. I'll do that. And sometime this afternoon, I'll send you an email or the name of those areas.
Yeah, and Bob Flynn would be the person to do it. I thought he gave you a thumb drive last month when you were here, but yeah, follow up with him if you could, and I think we can define those areas.
Okay, define. Yeah, definitely. I'll look at those, that email, and I'll send you an email to confirm with you this afternoon.
And Jill, I noticed it's yellow, and that's the short fuse for this month is the Open Science Conference, trying to get those abstracts in place.
Yeah.
So,
Arjun, could you work with Andy, since he's not on the call, to submit to me an abstract for his 2 talks at the conference? One is the overview of the impact foundational science area, and then the second one is about the white bark pine project. I just need to get the 2 abstracts for those 2 talks for the conference.
Okay, definitely I'll talk to him. I'll try to see him this afternoon, and I'll let him know about this.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. And I'm going to show something else on the screen here, just to give since we got some new folks, I believe, on the line. the idea is what we just heard from is the 3 foundational science areas, and kind of this is pretty small, but let me make this graphic bigger. Is that we've tried to then fund management-focused projects at the intersection of these 3, the physical, climate, ecological impact, and adaptation mitigation. So we just heard the reports from the 3, what we call foundational science areas, and now the management-focused projects are meant to kind of meet at the intersection of those 3 foundational science areas. And I think the first 3 management-focused projects, we're kind of being built in tandem as we develop the foundational science areas. So had some use, but maybe not quite as connected and coordinated as we're hoping that the 5 new projects would be. So that's just a background for the new folks on the line. And with that, maybe if Arjun, do you have anything to report on the white bark pine? We have the 3 that were funded in 13 listed here, and then we have the 5 new ones, and we'll just kind of, for those, I think there's quite a few people from the new projects online can just say hello in introduction, but not expecting a big report other than, kind of the hello.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Arjun, on the white bark pine.
Yeah, just, I'm really, I haven't seen Dr. Hansen for a few days, and I don't have any update for the white bark pine.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. I don't know, Brian, you've got a paper related to it. I don't know if there's any update on that.
We just, working on a paper with Tony Chang and Andy and Jeff and Leonardo Frid and Nate Kellick, and we just received revisions on that, so we'll be working through those in the next week or 2 here, and hopefully turn that around pretty quickly, and have more to share in the coming months. But a paper coming out on combining species distribution models with state and transition simulations for that system. Great,
thanks. Looking at the list with the surrogate species, not good at scanning lists. I don't see Susan on.
It's alphabetical like first name, so
okay, so
either one, Larry or Susan.
Okay. But at least our abstract's into the conference, so we're good to go. And then is Nina Burkhardt or someone from the Southwest Colorado project on?
Yes, Nina's here.
Okay, great.
So I haven't been on the last couple calls, so I'll try to update you the best I can and not repeat what's been said before. But we're working on some reports. So there's a report of the San Juan interviews that Karina did down there last summer, and so we're finalizing that. And Renee Rondeau has had some ecological response model workshops where she's presented the results of those models to some of the stakeholders and some scientists and others, and gotten some feedback about those. So she's working on refining those a little bit more. And then right now we're planning for some workshops that we're going to have down in Gunnison the week of April 20th in Gunnison. And the purpose of those workshops is to bring together the stakeholders we've been working with and some others, and to work on developing a social ecological response models. So taking the social science work that we've done down there, and that's primarily been Katie Clifford's work, and then the ecological response model work and the climate work, and getting people to walk through some processes to think about what impacts they might see. Do they see intervention points? What might those look like? And we're going to use 2 different techniques for doing that with people. We're going to use something the Nature Conservancy uses, which is kind of a situation assessment approach, and then we're using something that USGS has used. It's a chain of consequences approach, and we have some folks from Reston who are going to come out and help facilitate that piece of it. So by the end of the workshops, we hope to get to a point where people are able to think about adaptation and sort of lay the groundwork for some fall workshops where we'll talk about adaptation strategies more specifically. And then we'll repeat this process in the San Juan, possibly in May. We haven't nailed down dates for that. And then in preparation for these the social ecological response modeling workshops, we're going to have people from the project give some webinars to bring people up to speed on some of the work so they can walk into these workshops with some background. So we're doing one on climate today. Actually, MTS is doing that today. Katie Clifford will do a webinar and talk about the social science work that she did in the Gunnison. And Renee will do a webinar and talk about the ecological response model. So we have those scheduled over the next 2 weeks, I think, so that people can kind of get caught up with what's going on so that they can participate. So, and we're working on our annual report. So I see we're yellow, but at least we're not red, right? So I think that's it. Unless MTS wants to add anything, because I think he's on the call.
Good, thanks. I guess it's well connected with the climate group through MTS, and I think that we should make sure, Arjun, that we kind of, the impacts team follows up on, or stays in touch with the species distribution and the conceptual models that group is doing to make sure that's kind of folded into the impacts portfolio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great point.
And I know that Colin Talbert, myself, and Michelle Fink had talked about some of the modeling that Renee was doing, doing some species distribution modeling for those managers. So we're tying that into the modeling framework with the software for assisted habitat modeling. I think Michelle Fink and the Colorado Natural Heritage Program, kind of the ball was there in their court on compiling some of the field data, and then we were going to, the Climate Science Center, through mainly Colin and myself, we're going to turn the crank on getting those habitat models built. So, related to that project, some of the stuff that, it's the habitats that the Southwest Colorado project is doing. And probably should have something to report in the next month or two. I think that was sort of their deadline on that. Anyway, with that, welcome to the new folks. I see Steve on the line, first on the list, and I think that Amy couldn't make it this Thursday, but Brian Miller is sitting here at the conference. Man, okay, I'm just, I can't multitask. So let me just hand it over by the order that they are there, and then maybe I got the title, could be probably not exactly fully illuminating. So if you could just maybe mention what your project's about, say hello again. I know these are sort of not quite up and running, so not expecting much of a report, but maybe just asking that it looks like Steve, if we could get work with Jill Lackett here on an abstract for the poster that we're asking for from these things. But let me hand it over to you, Steve, to say hello and give us a little 2-minute overview of your project.
Okay, great, thanks. Greetings. This project obviously isn't off the ground yet, but we have, I think, the groundwork laid to put this together. It's I think, an interesting and challenging project, and I think the odds of success are pretty good, and the approach we're taking, I think, is one that will have broader application. I'd like to turn it over actually to Meredith McClure. She's put together the biological end of all this, and I'd like her to give a bit of an overview and just introduce herself.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. This is Meredith, and I just want to say we're really excited about getting started on this project and being part of this group, so thanks for inviting us to these calls. So we've got a pretty diverse group of partners together for this project, from Forest Service, Park Service, Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, the Heart of the Rockies Land Trust Initiative, GNLCC, the Rocky Mountain Partner Forum of the GNLCC. So we're really excited to work with that group on this. What we're going to be doing is conducting a climate change vulnerability assessment of key connectivity landscapes in the U.S. portion of the Northern Rockies. So what we're doing is starting with the connectivity analysis developed by the Western Governors Association as part of the Wildlife Corridors and Crucial Habitat Initiative. And that's going to give a landscape integrity-based kind of biome-level perspective on crucial landscapes that we expect to support regional scale connectivity throughout the Northern Rockies. We'll then be overlaying projected change in vegetation composition from both statistical and mechanistic models of future biome distributions to be able to estimate exposure of those landscapes to climate change impacts. We'll then be working with some focal species experts to score sensitivity and adaptive capacity of species of interest in those landscapes that are expected to rely on those landscapes for connectivity. We'll be collaboratively assessing vulnerability and identifying some priority landscapes from that region from a management perspective, working with our partners in management. And then we'll be working with them to develop some adaptation strategies in those landscapes and understand how well their existing management practices support future connectivity needs under climate change. So it's going to be a busy project for sure, and we're very excited to get started.
Great, yeah, and we're excited to have it as part of the team, and I would imagine that Steve and your work with climate could definitely overlap with the climate foundational science area. So, MCS and Mala.
Jeff, this is Joe. I was just going to put out a call for collaboration here in the sense of also dealing with other aspects of connectivity. It's not always clear how the climate is going to feed into this, or the hydrology for river networks and such. So it would be really good to keep up a dialogue about how we're going to look at the climate influence and the sort of distribution, for example, distribution of snowpack, distribution of soil moisture and stuff like that on the biological connectivity. And I think that would be a really great way to think into the future. I don't know what you're thinking of doing with the climate aspects of this. And that could be something we answer in discussions as time goes on.
Yeah, that would be great to keep in touch about how other people are approaching this question. I know it's a complex question that we've talked a lot with other groups about how to approach it, and I think there are a variety of strategies out there, but it's a tough thing to deal with. And we're focusing on kind of the aspect of vegetation change and understanding kind of the extent to which, for example, forest cover in a particular landscape important for connectivity might be lost or gained, and how species might respond to that. But I'd be very interested to hear from other groups thinking about that in different ways, trying to bring that in.
Yeah, let's make sure those two groups stay in touch. There's definitely a climate component to all of these, but that connectivity is an interesting thing. I think the funding has gone out in that it is just a change of allocation from the North Central to the Northern Rocky Mountain Science Center. But let me know if there's any glitch in that, but I believe the funding should be at NOROC. With that, maybe we'll go on to Amy, who is on the call, to welcome and give a brief overview.
Okay. This also has a project that's a lot of partners. I'm Amy Simstead, and I'm with the Northern Prairie Wildlife Research Center. The major partners in this project are Brian Miller, who's sitting next to or near Jeff there, Nick Fisicelli, Gregor Sherman, and Melinda Coswell from the Park Service are really the ones that got this project started. And our partners, because of their desire to improve the Park Service's scenario planning for climate change adaptation procedures that they use, and I'll get into that a little bit. Other partners on the project are Andrea Ray from NOAA, who's on the line, Jonathan Friedman from the Fort Collins Science Center, some folks from Wildlife Conservation Society, and then Marion Talbert from the Climate Science Center, and then our major, we have two major focus areas of this project geographically, and those are centered on Badlands National Park in southwestern South Dakota, and Knife River Indian Villages National Historic Site in central North Dakota. And then around each of those parks, we've been, or we'll be working with the partners around those parks, including Forest Service, Fish and Wildlife Service, and hopefully a couple of different tribal entities. So the goal of the project basically is to make the parks, or to come up with a method that can be repeated in the Park Service or any other agency who wants to use them. Scenario planning workshops that currently are relatively non-quantitative, and they're finding that the managers that they're working with want something more concrete, more quantitative in terms of building not only the climate scenarios that they work with, so not just increasing a warm and wet versus a hot and dry climate, but exactly what that means, and a specific climate scenario that they're working with in terms of time series and lots of more important variables that they think will impact the resources they're most concerned about. But also making more quantitative the process of walking through the biology and the hydrology, the responses from the various resources. So incorporating some simulation modeling to make more quantitative projections of the responses of the resources that they're concerned about than they have been doing in the past. So the procedure is basically to develop some regional climate summaries for the area, pick out some, and this is where the help from the Andrea comes in, is picking out and building on the NCPP project that was started in 2012, but using information that's available to pick out climate scenarios that are relevant to the Northern Great Plains focal areas and that span a range of conditions, plausible climate conditions for the future, summarizing the important climate variables from those, having an orientation with the resource managers, describe those summaries, use them to identify key issues, and narrows down those regional climate summaries to local climate summaries that can then be used in simulation models that Brian Miller will be in charge of to develop the more quantitative ecological and hydrological responses to those different climate scenarios, and then reconvene in another workshop with the management partners to talk about what that means in terms of how the managers will respond in those different situations. I guess that's it. Brian or Andrea, if they want to add anything. Oh, Nick is on the line too. Nick, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, this is Nick Fisicelli. Amy, that was great. I think you encapsulated it well. Yeah, we're really excited to get this project going, and it'll be a great collaboration between USGS and NPS and NOAA and CSU. So, people with different expertise coming together. I think we should be able to really have some success in getting some management relevant science to these parks. And the two focal areas are around the Badlands in South Dakota and Knife River in North Dakota, and there's a map on the WebEx. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, great. I think it's important to note that the scenario planning is a big part of what the Climate Change Response Program at the National Park Service is doing, and they kind of led the charge on that. And so I'm really excited to have the Climate Science Center and Amy and USGS contributing to that work that the Park Service is doing. Why don't we move on to Cody's on the line, and Cody and Shannon are working in Wind River with drought mitigation plan. I'll just hand it over to Cody.
Hey, Jeff, it's Leanne. Back on Amy's project, has she received her funding since that's just a change of allocation?
It is not just a change of allocation.
Okay.
So unlike Steve's, which is all USGS, there's a CSU component, and these are all shown in yellow. I just summarized for all 4 of the remaining projects is that I'm working, the Grantstock Hub I think has been submitted through CSU. That all has to go through CSU. I have to do a technical evaluation. There might be some questions. I think that people are doing a pretty good job tracking those back and forth, a little detail on budget breakdowns and overhead rates and whatnot. So I think these are all on track, and it's just I ask people to kind of watch for those. The quicker you get them turned around, the quicker the funds go through. A lady named Tammy or Neil are communicating with the PIs on those. But I think I've done the technical evaluation for STEMSTAT, for Amy's, for Cody's, and for David's. Well, one of those I haven't done. Maybe not David Hennessy's, but I did it for Ben's and Cody's and Amy's. But anyway, they're sort of yellow to light green maybe, and making their way through the system.
Okay, great. Just keep me in the loop when that's been distributed so I can make my outreach.
Sure.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. And then Cody, sorry, we'll go back to you.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, the official title of our project is the Wind River Indian Reservation's Vulnerability to the Impacts of Drought and the Development of Decision Tools to Support Drought Preparedness. And Jeff, I think you had that map up there. I think the Wind River Reservation was highlighted in red in western Wyoming there. So in case you're wondering where that's at. And this is a 2-year project, and it sounds like along with everybody else, we have a lot of PIs and partners. And on this, again, my name is Cody Knutson. I'm a research associate professor at the National Drought Mitigation Center with University of Nebraska-Lincoln. The other PIs are Shannon, who already spoke, McNeely. We've got Mitch Kottner. He's the Tribal Water Engineer for the Shoshone and Arapaho Tribes Office of the Tribal Water Engineer. Jennifer Wellman, she's the Wind River Education Coordinator with Wyoming EPSCoR. We also have Mark Svoboda. He's a climatologist here at the NDMC as well. And then we also have they make up the core of our project management team, but we also have a few other key people from Wind River on that management team, and that'd be Gary Collins. He's a Northern Arapaho Tribal Liaison, and Al Seabearing, Baptist Weed, and Jim Pogue in the Office of the Tribal Water Engineer. So then we have, and those are, the primary internal people on the team, and then we also have a list of other collaborators, and we're leveraging a lot of in-kind support from other activities going on from state and federal agencies in the region. We've got Martha Shulsky and Crystal Stiles from the High Plains Regional Climate Center at UNL, Chris Nicholson from the Wyoming State Climate Office. They'll be helping out with the climate assessment. Justin Derner with USDA Northern Plains Regional Climate Hub, be helping with the agricultural risk assessment and management. Also the North Central Climate Science Center staff, the science leads, will try to happen to them as much as possible for input. Also other people from USGS like Gabriel Sinead, John Bradford, and Nico Waters. Also Indy Burke, Bill Lowenderoth, I see her on the line here today, and Kyle Palmquist from the UW, University of Wyoming, helping out with the climate and ecosystem modeling. And then Lisa Dilling and Betsy McNee from the NOAA's Western Water Assessment. They'll be helping to evaluate our project. And so we've got a large and diverse team here, a lot of pieces we're going to have to pull together, so we're going to have a lot of coordination here. But the overall goal of the project is to conduct an assessment of the key climatological and social ecological vulnerabilities and drought management capacities of the Wind River Indian Reservation to inform the development of a drought management plan. Now, we've already been working with the tribes, the Eastern Shoshone and Northern Arapaho tribes who share the Wind River Reservation. We've already been working on them to at least set up the process for developing a drought management plan. And this vulnerability assessment, to be carried out as part of this work, is really key for understanding how drought affects the local activities and ecosystem and their drought management capacities. And so with this information, we can target actions in their drought management strategy to reduce those vulnerabilities. And then we have to do this, we have about 4 primary objectives. I'll just go through these quickly. One, like I mentioned, was to conduct the social ecological systems vulnerability assessment for the reservation, and this would be, include integrating a social assessment, the climate assessment, the ecological analyses, tell a holistic story of drought on the reservation. And then using that information, our second objective would be to integrate those results from the analysis using GIS or other tools to produce information that's relevant for decision making on the reservation. That would be the research team working with other natural resource managers on the reservation to really use the vulnerability assessment, the information coming out of that, to develop some tools for communication and assessment that might be relevant for their decision making. And we also have an educational component that would be engaging the community, youth, and non-tribal natural resource managers to provide education on basic water resources, habitat protection, as well as drought risk management. And then, like I mentioned, Beth McNee and the folks from the Western Water Assessment helping to document and evaluate our process and the deliverables, these lessons learned that we can transfer to other tribes and other vulnerable communities throughout the region and beyond. So like we've got a lot of work to do in a couple of years. And Jeff, I got an email today that we still have a few budget questions we have to answer for you. We'll get back to Tammy about that. But Shannon, do you have anything else to add on this?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Cody. Just a couple quick things. One key partner, there's a lot of other partners that Cody didn't mention, but one in particular I think we need to mention is NIDIS, the National Integrated Drought Information System. We've actually been working with NIDIS over the past year to do the spin up to this project, a lot of capacity building and workshops at the reservation. Cody and I were just there a couple weeks ago, actually. And also we just released the first version of a drought decision support tool for the reservation. It's a drought and climate summary, and that just came out a couple days ago for them to.
Great.
Okay, and Shannon, you mentioned before too, one of the things we're working on already, in addition to the larger drought planning effort. Oh, you're cutting out there, Shannon. I'm going to spoke over you.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff. Shannon, you still there? Oh, she might have cut out. But I just wanted to mention that, yeah, some of the work we've already been doing, we're setting up, like I mentioned, kind of a process with them to develop a drought plan. And as part of that, we've already started talking about developing a climate summary that they could issue maybe seasonally to better monitor their drought condition and other climate impacts. And we've been working on a research call about how what kind of data we can share and what kind of information they want to keep internally coming out of this project. So we've already been doing quite a bit of lead into this project, so I think we've got a good, kind of hitting the ground running.
Great. Okay, really good stuff. And yeah, I'd rather give David and Ben time to talk about it. I know we're at the top of the hour, and maybe just table that for next month, unless David or Ben, I don't think Ben is on, but you know, like I said, I don't want to cut you on. I think at the end of the hour, people can start signing off. So, David, is that all right if we just kind of table this and we'll get a little more thorough introduction next month?
That's fine, yes.
Okay. Appreciate you joining. And then I think phenocams and phenology on tribes, nothing major for the group that I'm aware of. Maybe Brian. Yes.
Nothing major. I think, I don't know if Geneva's still on. She had to run. But she's been doing a lot of work getting modems and cameras ordered up for the spring green up. So, yeah, thanks to her for doing a bunch of work there. And, yeah, I mean, that's
mainly coordinating with Diane, but I think we're taking that offline, and you're aware of where we are, Diane, with getting some cameras for you and the Iowa View, and then the Wyoming.
Yep. 10-4 on that one.
Excellent. Good. So I think, I'm working on a poster. I'm thinking, trying to get an abstract to Jill on that. So that would be the short fuse things, folks. Again, if Arjun, you can check with Andy on his 2 abstracts. Steve, if you can just send us, grab it from the proposal, but make sure Jill or Meredith, whoever wants to be lead on that, we'll make sure we get those abstracts in, because we're trying to work the program together and get that kind of published and out. So it's a bit.
Okay, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, I think we'll table it, and we'll talk to everybody in a month from now. Appreciate the new folks joining in as we work through getting them funding, sort of a little bit ahead of time, and the reporting out. So good. We'll talk next month or offline as needed. So thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Talk to you in a month.
Bye.
Thank you.